Hamilton, and I'm here today to talk about the violin. So the violin is the smallest member of the string family, and if you think of it being a member of a choir, it's like the soprano, the highest voice, and a lot of the times it has the melody. We put it on our shoulder to play, and then we put the bow across the strings. The lowest note the violin can play is the G. So it's still pretty low, it seems, for a high instrument, but it's the lowest note. And then the highest, well, it's very high. It can go really high, and sometimes composers write melodies that are way up there. So it can make a really nice sound up there too, sometimes. Since we hold it on our shoulder, we need some equipment for that. So I have a chin rest here. This is where I have put my chin. And on the back, a shoulder rest. Also, we have to take this off when we put it away in our case. So that's really interesting how it comes off like that. But that allows us to put it on our shoulder, and then you barely need any hands to play it. Just a little bit to put our fingers down and make different pitches. As we put down each finger on the string, the pitch goes up. And we can go over to other strings, or we can go up the fingerboard. Our bow here is made out of very exotic wood from Brazil. And this is horsehair, which comes from Mongolia. So some very different countries happening with our bow. But that's what gives us the voice on string instruments. We pull it across the strings, and it pulls the string with a little bit of tension and a little bit of stickiness from tree rosin to make this sound. Another technique we use is called pizzicato, which means to pluck the string. So like a harp or a guitar, we just pull the string with our finger. So it's kind of soft and short notes, and many composers like to ask for us to play this way. It makes a new, interesting sound. There are different kinds of bow strokes. So like I said, the bow is our voice. We can play very smooth and legato, or very short. So even there, my bow is actually jumping off the string, like playing hopscotch here, or playing on a trampoline or something. So that's very fun to play music that has that skipping energy to it. We have a bridge and the 4 strings. And these strings, you probably can't see, but they're made out of metal wrapped around different materials. My lower 3 strings are wrapped around synthetic fibers, something like threads like you have in your clothing, very fine material, but gathered in a big bunch and then wrapped around with a very thin pounded ribbon of metal, silver and steel. My E string, the highest one, is actually just a solid piece of steel. It has no ribbon of metal around it. It's very smooth in that way. But back in the day, when violin was just getting started, they actually weren't using the metal yet. They were using intestines that were dried out. It was a very strong material that they got from sheep, and some people even say cats. But it made like a very soft and warm sound, and there are even some players today still use them in old music, in Baroque music. They specialize in that. But most violin players and other string players play on modern instruments, and we need to have the power of metal, of steel, wrapped around different other materials to get that warmth. Because we're in the orchestra, we're competing against really loud instruments sometimes, like the trumpet and the percussion. We want to be able to play in very large concert halls like Riceland and be able to project our sound, and that's why we have metal strings now. So this entire violin and all the string instruments, there's no bolts or nuts or screws here at all. It's all held by either tension or glue. So the only mechanism I have here that actually is a screw is this fine tuner, and this is just to make tuning a little easier for me on my E string, but my other strings don't have one. Here I have to use the pegs to tune and change the pitch. Every time I'm going to practice or play, or if I have a rehearsal, I make sure my violin's in a really good tune, that I have all four tuned. G, the D, the A, and then the E. Oops. So those are the four strings and most of the parts.
What's the difference between the violin and the fiddle?
So the fiddle is the state musical instrument of Arkansas. So that's something to be really proud of. But actually, there's no difference. This is the same instrument. It just depends on what kind of music you play. So I'm primarily a classical music player, but I have a fiddle tune here to play for you called the Arkansas Traveler. So that's a fiddle tune. So that would make this a fiddle if I'm playing that. But look, I can play on the same instrument. See, I can play both classical and fiddle on just one instrument, the violin. So it just depends on what you're playing. Another fun technique on string instruments, like the violin, we have one called Kolengyo, which is Italian meaning with the stick. So instead of playing with the hair of the bow, we make a percussive sound by hitting the stick onto the string. So that's kind of a fun, different technique. Many composers use it in their music for very expressive purposes. So with the bow, we make very beautiful tones, but we can also make beautiful tones with something called vibrato, which is with the left hand. So I can play just a straight tone if I just put my fingers down to change the pitch. But that's kind of plain. We want to enhance that sound to sound more like a singer. We wiggle our finger just a little bit, rocking it back and forth. So it has a bit of a warble to it, like an opera singer might have. So that gives us a nice tone so we can really sing, and that's why I love playing string instruments. Next, I have a piece to play for you that really demonstrates some nice techniques on the violin, how it can sing and how it's an exciting instrument too. This piece is called Southland Sketches. It's the fourth of them by Harry Burleigh. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed learning about the violin. So come and hear lots of violin playing at the Delta Symphony.
I hope you enjoyed this video about the instruments of the orchestra. If you like this one, please check out our other videos and give us a like and subscribe to our channel.